It should be live. It shouldn't be.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started this evening. We are going to start off, as we always do, with a invocation and the pledge of allegiance. So if you could stand and do it. Start with the invocation first. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this group of people that have gathered here today. Thank you for this council. Please guide their decision making and help them to give them wisdom to discern what is best for this community. Thank you for all the individuals that are here. Thank you for all the children in our community. Keep them safe as we come into summer and as they finish school. Please be with everyone and keep them safe as they go home this evening. We ask this in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the roll, but before I do, we have extra copies of tonight's meeting agenda on the podium. So if you'd like to follow along, if you won't offend us, come on up, grab one, and you can kind of follow along with where we go. All right, the roll call. We're going to go in the order of the districts as we do always. I'm going to start with District 1, Councilman Tim Sullivan, present. District 2, Michael Coker, that's me, I'm present. District 3, Councilman Kyle Shields, present. District 4, Mayor Pro Tem Michael Rudnick, present. And then District 5, Councilman Doug Ingram, present. Madam Clerk, if you could notate, we have all 5 councilmen present for tonight's meeting. That brings us to item E on the agenda, which is the mayor's opening comments. The only thing that I was going to say, like I said, is we have copies of the agenda on there if anybody would like to follow along. We will also be giving public comments here shortly. If anyone has a public comment they'd like to give, we limit the public comment section to 2 minutes per individual. The council do not respond to those public comments. We do ask that you state your name and your address and sign the pad if they're to that section. Does the council, rest of the council have any opening comment they'd like to make? All right, hearing none, we'll keep moving right along. That brings us to item G, which is the city manager's opening comments.
The only comment I have is that we are getting ready for the Mulberry Jam Fest. It's gonna be June 13th, right here at Double Creek Park. Make sure you tell everybody it's gonna be an awesome time. We have some live bands that are gonna be there. We have some inflatables that are going up. And we welcome businesses who, or, anybody who has a business or wants to be involved, please reach out to our PIO, Lauren or Kelly, about, ways to get involved, how to sign up, if you want to be a vendor, that kind of thing.
All right, thank you, city manager. That brings us to action item H, which is the consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. Council, have you had sufficient time to review the agenda, and are there any items to add or to remove? Staff, is there anything from staff as far as any removals?
No, sir.
Okay.
We would maybe remove the second public hearing.
No, sir. I'm gonna formally say something.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. All right, so then at this time, I'll entertain a motion on tonight's meeting agenda.
Make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda for May the 7th, 2026 as presented.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second? Second. Councilman Shields, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. Favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the meeting agenda is hereby adopted. Next up, we have action item I, which is the consideration of the April 16th, 2026 meeting minutes. Is there any changes or addition to the April 16th minutes?
Small change, I think, Mr. Mayor, on item 0, action items, in the first section A, there's Melody Bloughton, replacing her with Brian Lapper. I think his name is misspelled coming in there. I'm gonna reflect that.
Thank you. Is there any other amendments to this before I'll make a motion on that, but is there any other ones the council sees? Thank you, Councilman Ingram.
Yep.
All right, then I'll make a motion to amend the Thursday, April 16, 2026 minutes to action item OA to correct the name of Brian Lappert with a T. Is there 2 P's in Lappert?
Yeah, so the is Lappert.
Okay, so I make that motion to amend, to spell the name as, stated by Councilman Ingram. Do I have a second on that amendment motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? And I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed, or the amendment carries. At this time, I'll make a motion to adopt the Thursday, April 16th, 2026 meeting minutes as amended. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing that, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the Thursday, April 16th, 2020 are, as amended, are hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to our public comment section J. So as I stated, we do have a public comment section. We'll also have some public hearings on some of the items that are on tonight's agenda. So if you're here to talk about those items, obviously we're not going to discourage you from making a public comment. We do have those reserved later. This is the 2-minute one. If you do give a public comment, just if you can state your name, your address, and the district where you live in Mulberry. And if you could sign our sheet. So is there anyone that would like to give a public comment this evening? All right, Mr. Stanton.
Y'all got the pad on the wrong side. Mayor and council, my name's Wayne Stoutsel. I live at 3262 Stoutsel Drive. And I'd just like to invite everybody in the city of Mulberry. We're having an archaeological day at Fort Daniel on May the 30th from 10 to 12. Archaeological month, and there will be some people from Georgia State, some ongoing archaeological digs, and we'll have some demonstrations. This is not our big event, but this is an event that we've got open, and it's just right out there on Highway 124. And it's a very historical spot, and we'd like to invite everybody to come and open that to the public. Just ride, it's free.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Stansel. Is there anyone else who'd like to give a public comment this evening? All right, hearing that, I'll go ahead and close the public comment section under J. That will bring us to item K, which are reports and presentations. So we have something that's special that we do in here at the city, which I think is really cool. That I want to comment our clerk does a phenomenal job with, which are proclamations, people that we feel like need to be honored in the community. And so we wanted to honor both the valedictorian and the salutatorian from both Mill Creek High School as well as from Secondary High School. So let's start with the Mill Creek ones. Is Min Chan Lee, is she here tonight? Or he, thank you. And then what about Garrett Sidholm? Awesome, sounds good. If y'all could come forward for me. So council, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a motion adopt these proclamations for Garrett Sidholm as well as Min Chan Lee, the valedictorian and salutatorian of Mill Creek. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the proclamations are. What we'd like to do is obviously honor both of you and thank you for your dedication to your school career. We know that it's probably was many late nights of studying, and it's a huge honor. And obviously we love our students at Mill Creek, and so we appreciate you guys. Okay, so congratulations to you. All right. All right, so we take a quick picture. We'll give you these. We'll take a quick picture. All right, Mr. Lee, I'll give you that one. And Mr. Sidholm. All right, y'all could look right here. Y'all want to get in it too? Sure.
Don't think is it easy?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's really easy. It's like bolted or something like that. Yeah, if you guys want, I'm just gonna try to get, if the two of you want to get right here in front of the, we're kind of centered with the door and the seal, take it right.
Night. Is it the same line?
Yeah, yeah, it's still.
For dad.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Awesome. Congratulations, guys. They must be very proud of yourselves. Congratulations. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah, that's a great choice. All right, and then are the,
No, don't stop.
if the secondary individuals aren't here tonight, right? I don't think they could come. All right, so we don't have these, but I'll go ahead and make a motion to adopt the proclamations honoring the valedictorian as well as the salutatorian for secondary high school. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. So, any discussion?
What are the names? Yeah, I can't read.
Their names aren't on here. So,
Oh.
we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, these, we'll provide these two. Thank you. All right.
I just want to make a clarification, right? So since you asked, this was one of those things that popped in our head as staff way late. So we reached out, and we just hadn't gotten a response yet, but we wanted to go ahead and make sure that we did the proclamation.
Sure.
Graduation's coming up. We knew that all this would be long and gone before our last.
All right, and then we have, thank you all for coming. I appreciate you being here. All right, we have one more proclamation that we'd like to do this evening. So May 3rd through the 9th is the Municipal Court Clerks Week. So we would like to recognize our court clerk, Miss Naomi Brown, for the work she does, and is also to recognize this week as the Municipal Court Clerk Week. And I'll just kind of read this one. It says the office of the professional municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists through the world. The office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. The office of the professional municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, the agencies of government at other levels. Professional municipal clerks have pledged to be mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. The professional municipal clerks serve as the information center as function of local government and community. Professional municipal clerks continuously strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through continuing education and training, and it's most appreciated that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Therefore, be it proclaimed, the mayor of the city of Mulberry, Georgia, does hereby recognize May 3rd through the 9th as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extends appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, Naomi Brown, and to all the professional municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. So at this time, I make a motion to adopt this proclamation for our clerk, Naomi Brown. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Ingram, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, we present this to Naomi. Congratulations. All right, that brings us to section L, our public hearings. First, LA, it's a first read of case number RZR 2026.02.0242. I'll first turn it over to staff for their discussion.
Good evening. While Kelly's getting the presentation pulled up, this is a request to rezone property at 3200 Fence Road from RA 200 to the RLL Residential Large Lot District to allow for the subdivision of the property into ultimately 4 total lots. There is currently a house on the property today and an accessory structure, as you can see on the aerial. And to be able to subdivide as desired, the applicant would need to, into the 4 lots, the applicant would need to demolish that existing house to be able to be compliant with setbacks and other bulk standards, because one of the lot lines would bisect the current house. So working with staff, we recommended a phased approach, and that is incorporated into our conditions. So phase 1 is to subdivide the lot into 3 different lots. So you've got that lot on the far right with the existing house meeting all bulk standards for the house to remain as is. And then, a subdivision of, 2 additional lots there. That would be phase 1, and then phase 2 in the next site plan would be eventually currently there is a tenant in that house, and so, they would not be able to demolish the house. So phase 2, once that tenant, vacates the property, would allow them to demolish the house and put in, that 4th lot, to benefit both and meet the criteria of the city from a bulk standpoint, and also respect that, tenant's rights to remain in the property as long as they have the lease. So next slide. These are the architectural elevations that the applicant has provided. In addition to, if conditioned to these elevations, they would also have to comply and go through a review process at the permitting stage to ensure that they, meet the criteria within the zoning ordinance for architectural standards. Slide. Staff reviewed the criteria against rezonings, and this property is located within, you see the small teal dot up there in the executive residential character area. It is right on the edge between that and the suburban transition area. The executive residential area where this falls is intended for large lot residential development up to 1 acre per dwelling unit, and a minimum of 1 acre in size from a lot standpoint. This application as presented meets all of the bulk standards, including the density. It's coming in at about 0.8 units an acre, consistent with all of the comprehensive plan vision. In addition, the RLL district serves as there's some RA 200 around there, as well as some R100 mod. And so this serves as a really compatible transition between this executive residential district and the suburban transition district just adjacent to it. Next slide. Planning Commission did review the application on April 21st and recommended approval. There were a couple of adjustments to staff conditions that I'll present to you and identify what they adjusted in that recommendation. This is before you for both a first read and the public hearing that will follow, and is scheduled to come back to you May 21st for the second reading and final decision. Next slide. So we did recommend several conditions. The underlines, not that first note underlined, but the other underlines are the conditions that Planning Commission adjusted, and staff has adopted those as part of our recommendation as well. So I'll quickly read these into the record. So should you make the findings to approve the rezoning as presented, the staff recommends some additional conditions. Number 1, the proposed development shall be constructed in general conformance with the site plans and elevations received, including Exhibit A and Exhibit B, dated April 9th, 2026. And building elevations received February 3rd, 2026, as may be modified by the conditions and the requirements of the Unified Development Ordinance, subject to review and approval by the Planning and Development Department. Phase 1 shall permit the development of 3 lots as depicted on Exhibit A, and Phase 2 shall permit the further subdivision of Lot 1 into 2 lots, resulting in a total of 4 lots as depicted in Exhibit B. Number 2, all existing structures located on Lot 1 shall be removed prior to approval of the Phase 2 final plat or issuance of a land disturbance permit associated with Phase 2. The property shall be limited to a maximum of 4 single-family detached lots and accessory uses and structures. Number 3, all dwellings shall have a minimum 2-car garage. 4, all grassed areas shall be sodded. 5, natural vegetation shall remain on the property until the issuance of a building or development permit. 6, the site shall be limited to 1 full access driveway on Fence Road, subject to the review and approval of the Planning and Development Department. 7, a perpetual ingress, egress, easement, and maintenance agreement for the shared driveway between all lots shall be noted on the recorded final plat. In addition, the maintenance agreement shall be recorded and referenced on the plat prior to plat recording. 8, the developer shall provide a 5-foot landscape strip and a 5-foot sidewalk along the entire Fence Road frontage, with a fee in lieu of sidewalk construction as optional in consideration of topographical, utility, or other site constraints, subject to the review and approval of the Planning and Development Department. And number 9, the one added by Planning Commission, the owner developer shall either contain stormwater on the subject property or redirected away from existing residential structures in Saddlebrook Farms subdivision I will also note as we conclude the recommended conditions to mitigate the different, impacts on the site and to future homeowners. The applicant may also have, a request to adjust, that single access drive that could, if you are amenable to it, could impact some of those conditions, that would conflict with it. So I'll let the applicant present that, and that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kiefer. Any questions for staff, before we move on to the public hearing?
Yeah, does the, does any of the diagrams actually show the driveways? I've had a hard time figuring it out.
So there's a shared drive that you can see there at Plan North. There's the road itself, fence road itself, the curves. And then there's a shared drive. So there's only one access point on Fence Road over here at the far right hand side.
Okay,
And then the driveways extend to that shared driveway. So there's only one actual curb cut on Fence Road in this proposal.
Second question, on the, as it's laid out there, the eastern side of that, I understand there's a creek and some water and such.
Yep.
Does that end up going to one of the lots, or does somebody independently own that?
That would be part of this, what's labeled Lot 4 here.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, just a couple quick questions on the 5 foot, the easement, the 5 foot sidewalk, and then the landscaping area. Is it cumulative 10 feet or is it?
Yes.
Cumulative.
Mhm.
10?
Yeah, landscape and then sidewalk.
Landscape sidewalk, okay. And, the other question I was gonna ask, so phase 1 is the 2 lots, if we're looking at that diagram to the left, right? Or excuse me, the 2 houses to the left, that's phase.
Yes, so what's labeled, and the lots actually do count differently on the first one, but lot 3 and 2 will remain unchanged in phase 2. So this is creating 2 new lots in phase 1, so 3 total, and then splitting what's labeled as lot 1 here in phase 2.
Got it. And so the plan would be the shared driveway though, would be going through the existing structure that's currently rented. Is that what you said?
Can you go up? So it's there at the top by Fence Road. Now that I know that is one concern that the applicant had with the shared driveway and wanted to potentially reconsider that shared driveway because of the existing house.
Because the way
but-
it's rendered
yeah,
there, it
it's what-
shows it going into Fence Road, right?
No,
No,
so
it's-
it comes down.
just
kind of
plan
on
south a
the
little bit.
Side of the houses.
So in either of those ideas, if this were to move forward, that shared driveway would be going through the existing structure that's there. Not to connect to the other two.
Also, it's not the structure.
Not the structure, sorry, on the parcel that has. That is.
I know where
And
the
it's,
current
it's,
driveway is.
it's easier to see on the other slide because of how the sidewalks meander versus Fence Road. And Fence Road's not highlighted, but the idea is to have the shared drive across and run parallel with a buffer of landscaping and a sidewalk along Fence.
There's some topo there, that would impact some of those driveways.
Yeah.
And carrying on to Fence Road as well.
I do. I'm sorry, sir. Go ahead.
I have another question, but if you're still on the other.
It was more of a philosophical question about my statement, right? So I've always been of the mindset, and staff is too, of that, when it comes to sidewalk improvements, things of that nature, we like giving the option to single family developers. They're doing the lot division. You know, those are some things that we will look at doing in the long run for adding those improvements. But if this is a massive a larger scale subdivision, right, then that is a part of the responsibility of the developer. So we've never talked about that, but I'm making that statement now because this is the first time we've seen like a 4-lot subdivision or less come in. And the philosophy here is to dedicate the right of way and dedicate what would be the improvements for the sidewalk. And then we put together our long range sidewalk plan and then use those funds to do sidewalk connectivity long term. So this fits with what we discussed as far as the vision of how we do multimodal connectivity.
Right.
But I wanted to take this time to publicly say this is why we added this in as a part of the option and as a part of the conditions.
The fee in lieu of, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the fee in lieu of is the observation that we might just want to master plan the whole thing and.
This is the idea is 4 or less. right? That is added infrastructure costs, that is a part of a shared agreement that, you know, will impact the individual homeowner. But that's more of them giving something back to the city that they don't necessarily have to scope out and put as a part of their construction cost for a single family home.
We've also specifically noted in this application, some of the stream constraints and topo might warrant it unbuildable on that side, so it could be a better city project to be on the other side of the road.
I know a constituent had a concern about stormwater, so that you're reasonably confident that the stormwater can be kind of self-handled.
Yeah, with proprietary devices on each individual lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's, okay, cause yeah, the topo there is a little peculiar. Last question for you is just relative to the plan. Is there one elevation or is there one elevation that was submitted or multiple?
There's one submitted with the idea from the condition standpoint that it's gonna be general conformity as far as mass, and materials.
Right.
As opposed to them having every house having to look like this.
That would be, that's kind of where I was going with that. I think that one of the things that we probably have all seen in the community, sometimes an elevation has traction. And then it gets built exactly the same, including color, treatment. So you just get everything getting right down the road. So I think one of the, conditions that could be helpful is, mix of colors, finishes, mix of style, treatment, dormer, so that there's some variance and that the elevations are just one, all the same, just copy and paste. I think that would be a concern that I'd like to make sure we address.
Thank you, Councilman. Anybody else have a question for staff?
That's what I was gonna bring up was the elevations.
All right, thank you, Ms. Kiefer. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to our public hearing portion of the first read of this case. I'm assuming the applicant's here, right? So what we do is we limit it to 10 minutes each side. We'll give the applicant and anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of this rezoning request 10 minutes, and we will reserve 10 minutes for anyone who'd like to speak in opposition. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Did you want me to put my information on here?
You don't have to. I'm
Okay.
sure we have it.
So David Saunders, Key Engineering Solutions, 2847 North Bogan Road in Beaufort. And you guys got everything very well covered and I appreciate that. One thing that I did want to talk about was the shared drive access. We went through that with our architect and having a shared drive for two houses versus a single drive coming in that has to meander around some topo issues and some other just how it looks on the road has been a concern for us. I did send over a drawing. I guess I didn't make it into the meeting notes, but I have it here too. If I could pass it around.
Yeah, sure. If you don't mind. Thank you.
And that just shows, and I noticed I printed out the wrong copy. There is a guardrail there, so we won't go through the guardrail. We'll go around that. But what we've noticed is having a shared drive allows for traffic to come off a fence road. So your Amazon trucks, your mail trucks, anything that would typically have to stop and go into a residence could turn off a fence road, go into the shared drive, whether there's a gate or not. As you get further down, that's yet to be determined, but it does address the initial impact of, hey, we want to keep traffic on French Road moving. So whether it's a single point or a shared drive and 2 points on French Road, we'd like to do the 2 points. We feel it fits better, will look aesthetically better from the road, given the elevation change and how close we did. We would, another issue that came up when we were talking about it was sight lines. We follow all GDOT sight lines that need to be done. We will work that into our building permit and design drawings, so that would have to be covered anyways. So we get that done. And we address it so it doesn't go in the guardrail. But I would appreciate your thoughts on doing the 2 shared drives versus one. It's one additional drive coming out Fence Road, but we feel like if we make it wide enough, we can alleviate the traffic concern, which is typically why you want to minimize the amount of entrances to Fence Road.
Any questions for the applicant, from the council?
Now, my concern was just the safety aspect, because it looks like there's a curve in the road and the speed of the cars and
Oh, 100%.
what's going on.
Yeah.
The one I get, because it looks like the access of the single drive or a straight line, where the other one is in the middle of a curve. and it looks like there's topo, so I haven't been over there, but you know, that
There is some
elevation
topo
change,
probably,
so sight, vision and picture.
Yeah.
You know, if the car coming out and one
And we could
50
do-
miles an hour and fit.
100%. We can do mock-ups of what the drive would look like.
Okay.
But you could have, we've done turnoffs for shared drives before where they have another lane that comes in and then goes up there, or a wider apron. So you could easily turn off the road and come in. And we would move the entrance further away from where that creek is and where the elevations are a little more amenable to having a driveway go up. But I think aesthetically, it's just nicer to come straight in, having a larger lot than having to meander around and move lot one, seeing all the Amazon trucks going by. It's like my house would probably be 20 a day, so. Yeah.
Any other questions, for the applicant from the council?
You mentioned, gates and stuff as a possibility.
Yes.
I know it's not in the city, but on Camp Ranch Road, there's several houses where there's not enough room to pull a car in front of the gate. So everybody literally stops in the middle of the road.
Yep.
Delivery trucks, stuff like that. I want to make sure that that's not gonna happen here either.
No, typically, yeah, with the shared drive, it would be open as you can pull in, and then where the drive split, they'd have individual gates for the houses. So everything come off of Fence Road.
Even if you went with the two
Correct.
pets.
Yes, exactly.
Any other questions?
Yeah, maybe just an observation. I think that this corner, if I'm familiar with this, it's, you know, Fence Road increasingly has a lot of traffic. There's a lot of people in this room that have spoken to me about traffic concerns and challenges. And so I think whatever gets done here has to be like super well thought out.
Yep.
Because the amount of traffic and coming around that corner can be pretty challenging. And I know you're dealing with some tempo stuff. I also think the other thing that I think what we've seen previous maybe with some of the development is it's not as well thought out from a landscaping perspective and just a overall treatment. You know, the house gets built correctly, hopefully, and
Yeah.
looks nice, but everything else is kind of secondhand. And so one of the things that we're really trying to do is bring, you know, make sure that there's an appreciation for ecology, conservancy, you know, trees and associated activities. So I would just say I actually like the shared driveway. I think the more ingress and egress points you have, I don't know what the engineering challenges may be with just the one shared driveway. But I think that, you know, maybe lean into the landscaping element as well, the look and feel
Sure.
externally.
Which is
Yeah.
also why I wanted to go with the two shared drives, the 2 points. Because if we were taking the main drive that you see on here, now you have the sidewalk, landscape buffer, another buffer, and then the road. But who's gonna maintain that buffer in between?
Right.
And from an aesthetics standpoint, now you got 4 people trying to,
Yeah.
maintain the front between their driveway and the road, and
Yeah.
it's just a cleaner look is what we think if we go with the 2 drives.
Yeah, I think some really significant time spent in that area of what this looks like, and I'm sure, you know, the elevations look really nice and the fit and finish looks great. But I think how this looks from the street and how that all kind of fits together nicely
Yes.
there should be a significant period of time, because there's some build examples out there right now in the community, even in the Fifth District, that when you drive by, you're like, the house looks great, but everything by the road is not so great.
No, understood,
Yeah.
understood. You agree?
Any other questions from the council for the applicant? Right, thanks, sir.
Could I, well, I got your,
Sure.
a couple other points that you had brought up. Stormwater, our plan would be to put a swale in and direct stormwater back to the creek after treatment. Obviously, we have to follow all appropriate guidelines for stormwater treatment. So no stormwater would be impacted in the neighborhood behind there. There is also significant elevation change between there, so we wouldn't have the stormwater go up and over. And secondly, we are planning on putting septic in, or I'm sorry, sanitary sewer in. It's already been submitted to the county for approval. So it's just, they hadn't been addressed, just want to let you know.
So, thank you. All right, we have 7 minutes, 27 seconds left. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this application? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition of this application? Seeing or hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those in opposition. All right, so that will conclude the first read of case number RZR 2026-020242. The second read will be held at our meeting on May the 21st. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, that will bring us to public hearing LB, a first read of case number SUP 2026-020310.
Good afternoon. You have me at this one because because of the fact that the property owner has requested to table this. So the request from staff is that we table this case until June 18th and revisit the first read of this then.
All right, is there any questions first off for staff from council about this request?
I had one. What's to table it to June? The rationale is, what is the rationale?
The rationale behind the tabling is because the owner is assessing, he wants to be a good partner inside the community. Every business, every customer, as we see it on the staff side, who wants to develop here, wants to respect what their residents want. And I think that after the denial of planning commission, the idea there is what can we look at to work with the property, work with the community, and potentially bring something that they may be interested in.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
But that's just from my perspective of what we've been talking about with them. They still have the right to come forward and try to propose this for their SUP. But he just wants to take time to look at all his options.
Any other questions for staff about the request to table? All right, then at this time, I'll make a motion to table SUP 2026-020310 until for the first read to be on the June 18th, 2026 meeting. Do you have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, application SUP 2026-020310 is hereby tabled for the first read to be on the June 18th, 2026 meeting. All right, that will bring us to action item MA, which is an agreement for housing city inmates at the Gwinnett County Jail. Turn it over to the city manager on that.
I will just say this. I mean, it's a great day in Mulberry, and it's interesting enough that our relationship with the county continues to get better and better. So I'll start that way, and I will say that before you is an agreement with the sheriff and Gwinnett County to house our inmates or anyone who may have to go before our court and municipal court. This is a very minor, rare condition that we would ever have to send someone to jail for code enforcement, right? This is more of a step forward in the right direction in our relationship with the county, because these are the types of agreements that you have to put in place for long-term planning and growth of a municipality.
Any questions for the city manager about this agreement as presented?
Do they charge us any sort of fee or anything like that?
Thank you. It's per inmate per day. Do you know the rate by chance? It's usually related to the incidents and everything else. We can get that information to you.
There's nothing on the rate that's in this agreement. At this point in time. So there's nothing in the rate, there's not a right in the agreement. Now what you have in the agreement is the county is holding county ordinance violators at the jail. Okay. County ordinances are only applicable to outside municipalities. So if they were to charge municipalities, they would have to go to the citizens of the unincorporated portion of the county and have a special tax district to pay for that portion that they were paying for the sheriffs, for the inmates that were county ordinance violators. So what they're doing is they're treating the county ordinance violators the same as the city ordinance violators and paying it out of the general fund. That's my understanding of where we're at.
That is correct, yes, sir. And we do have a similar verbal agreement with Barrow County, right? And like I said, there are very few times, right, that we would ever have to take someone to jail for a code enforcement violation. This is more of a testament in my mind for the relationship that we've built with staff. The sheriff is a citizen of the city of Mulberry. And so this is great, and kudos to Lieutenant Fish, for working with that. So we just ask favorably for you all to approve and sign this agreement.
The other caveat to that, if you don't mind me speaking.
Go ahead, absolutely, sir. Come on up.
Yeah, there's just very minimal. So another frustration, one of the things I was trying to pursue getting this taken care of is if we come across somebody that's got a warrant out of whatever jurisdiction. Right now, we would have to call Gwinnett County when we're sitting there with a cage car, or we could simply transport them and take care of it and drop them off, which is no cost to us, but it's kind of embarrassing to come get this guy for you. So we allowed us to do that. So gives us that authority. So that was it.
Thanks, sir. Any other questions for staff about this agreement? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion on this agreement.
Make a motion to approve the agreement for housing city inmates at the Gwinnett County Jail between City of Mulberry and Gwinnett County Sheriff's Department.
All right, we have a motion, and does that motion authorize the mayor to execute that agreement? Okay, so we have a motion on the table. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any other discussion about this agreement? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the agreement for housing city inmates at the Gwinnett County Jail is hereby adopted, and the mayor is authorized to execute. All right, that brings us to action item NB, a third-party contract with Gwinnett County. I'll turn it back over to the city manager.
So, this is a 3-party agreement between the tax assessor's office, ourselves, and Gwinnett County. Most cities inside of Gwinnett County have it to where, if there's a stormwater fee or anything else, that is assessed and added to the Gwinnett County property tax bill. As you all, as well as our citizens are aware, the city of Mulberry does not have a property tax bill. So in order to collect the stormwater fee, we have to go in a 3-party agreement in order to have that fee on the property tax bill, just like every other city. This also includes trash services and everything else. The big part about this agreement is that it does not change how everyone else has already paid for their trash pickup or their stormwater fee. This is just a formal agreement that says that we have those fees now, not directly to Gwinnett County like they were in the unincorporated area, and that the tax commissioner will remit those fees to the city of Mulberry at the time that they're collected or within the usual process. The Gwinnett County Legal Department has reviewed this agreement. We have worked this out with the tax commissioner, and we are now asking for you all to approve and for the mayor to sign this agreement so that we can send it back and then have it approved and signed by the board of commissioners.
Any questions for the city manager about this stormwater and sanitation fee collection agreement with the tax assessor's office?
Have one, sure, real quick on this, Rick. The calculation of stormwater with how does that change? Is that addressed in here, the methodology? We're responsible on our end.
Yeah, we're responsible for how we calculate it, and we have not changed how we calculate it.
Okay.
Right, so the way that our ordinance reads right now is the same that Gwinnett County did. It's $2.46 per 100 square feet.
Yeah.
And then that's how we get our ERU basis of only impervious area. And then there is a escalator that we have to bring before y'all based on CPI, and any other inflationary thing.
And we run in the cost to calculate those areas that are applicable to stormwater. That was already in our budget, right? In terms of,
Oh, yeah. So I will say that this is the difference between us and Gwinnett County and why you do this locally, right? So, kudos to them because this is a method I never thought about, right? Gwinnett County and some of the other cities, they have a flyover method.
Okay.
So they fly over everybody's property and do it that way.
Okay.
Like I'm a little bit more old school. We're a little bit more smaller shop, right? We take anytime somebody develops anything new, they put the amount of impervious area on their plans. We put it on an Excel spreadsheet.
okay.
anytime somebody goes out and tries to do anything else, I look at it on GIS. We calculate that using the metrics inside of Esri, and then we just throw it on there.
So
Right.
methodology for our calculation of impervious surface, you're confident we got locked down and we assess it, what, every year? Is that?
We do assess it every year.
Okay.
We do take a look at it. We do add new commercial and new residential every year once it comes in. I have used this method for the 5 or 6 that I kind of helped do the program
Yeah.
at the city of Woodstock.
The reason I'm asking this, I think it's just maybe for my fellow councilman, just it's the stormwater as we, it's a big part of the budget. And so our ability to calculate accurately, if those, is really, really important. So I just want to make sure the methodology of calculation, you're confident that it's sustainable, it can happen on a frequent.
Oh yeah, absolutely, sir. So one thing to reassure you on, right? There are approximately 16,000 parcels inside the city, right? When we do that, you're roughly looking at, I think the calculation is something like square foot of impervious area, right? And the easiest way to do it is now working on add that inside of the application on Sages, as well as my old method of, it's inside the plates,
Got it.
right? So it's really more data tracking, right, than it is like anything else. Gwinnett County was gracious enough when we first met with them in January and took over stormwater. They gave us all their data and the shape files that we needed to include it in the web apps that we're getting ready to produce and add it inside of our backend in Esri. But I also took it in as just basic CSV files, right?
Got it.
So we can just go through the spreadsheets and then look at the calculations and change the formulas necessary if we have to enact the CPI, right?
Yeah. And then we just give that data to the county then executes on.
So the way that this works is that once we have everything, then we just send that with all the tax ID parcel information and the fee that we are charging and the calculation property address over to them.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, for staff about this agreement?
You've already answered this, I think, just to double check. Gwinnett County gives exemptions for large lots on stormwater. If you're impervious or waste swag off, I'm assuming that's all still built in our.
So all the exemptions that are currently in place from the unincorporated area are still in place with this, right? What this first year and probably next 2 years, so the next 3 years total, it's just gonna be a mimic of what everybody else is already doing, right? We're not reinventing the wheel here, right? I am taking Gwinnett County spreadsheet that they've been billing everybody else with for so far. We're adding in all the things that have already been approved that are what we call dried in to where it's charged for stormwater. We're putting it on one new spreadsheet and I'm sending it back to them.
Cool. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this.
Make a motion to accept the third-party contract with Gwinnett County, and are you signing it, Mr. Mayor?
I will, yes.
And authorize the mayor to sign said contract.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilman Ingram. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the agreement for stormwater and sanitation fee billing and collection between the city of Mulberry, Georgia, Gwinnett County, and the Gwinnett Tax Commissioner was hereby adopted and the mayor can sign. All right, that will bring us to action item MC, resolution 2026-0562 to appoint the zoning board of appeals.
This is gonna be pretty straightforward, right? We're working on the DDA and everything else because we're getting for the DDA, economic development, all the other elements of it. We are now just requesting to leave everything with the zoning board of appeals in place.
Okay, so is it the ZBA? All right, hearing none, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2026-0562. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, resolution 2026-0562 is hereby adopted.
Thank y'all.
All right, that brings us to first read of ordinance 2026-05-160, an ordinance to amend article section 1 of the charter of the city of Mulberry. Turning over to the city attorney for this one, presentation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a first read of the 2605-160, an ordinance to amend Article 1, Section 114A of the Charter of the City of Mulberry to authorize the city to assess, levy, and collect ad valorem taxes on real and personal property and for other purposes. This amends the city charter on Section 1, Article 1, Section 114A is amended so as to read, the city shall have the powers, all the powers possible for a city to have under the present or future constitutional laws of this state as fully and completely as though they were specifically enumerated in this charter. And the city shall have the power to assess, levy, or collect ad valorem taxes on real or personal property within the corporate limits of the city. The city shall have all the powers of self-government not otherwise prohibited by this charter or by general law. This charter amendment by ordinance has been properly advertised and posted as required by law. We have the tear sheets from the official organ to supplement the record at such time as that we would go forward. We need to have let me say this just as this comment. We have amended the charter as the county has said it should be in the lawsuit. And so this was the purpose that we did that. But this is what the charter amendment is in terms of powers. So that is the first read on this, and we intend that we would have a public hearing, both at the first and the second read. We're only required to do it once, but because it's such an important issue, we have gone ahead and scheduled a public hearing for both first and second reads. So we would like to do the public hearing on each ordinance separately at this time. If you know any questions.
Is there any questions for the city attorney about ordinance 2026-05-160?
And just a quick, to add on to what you were saying, we're doing it to make it amendment with Gwinnett County. This is by no means any mission that we feel that our charter is unconstitutional.
No, this is to finish the lawsuit.
Yes.
In our
Let's say that out loud because there's been a lot of noise on social media that says because we're doing this, we're admitting we're wrong, and we're not.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any other questions for the city attorney? Before I open the public hearing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, these ordinances also have a public hearing component. That means there is 10 minutes for each side, 10 minutes for anyone who'd like to speak in favor of these ordinances, and then 10 minutes for those that would like to speak in opposition. So I will go ahead on ordinance 2026-05-160. I will open the public hearing for those that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance. Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment for those speaking in favor of ordinance 2026-05-160. At this time, I'll open the public comments for those that would like to speak in opposition of 2026-05-160. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition of this ordinance? Come up, Mr. Hughes. All right, Mr. Hughes, you're limited to, or those in opposition in their aggregate are limited to 10 minutes, okay? So if you could state your name and address, and then you can begin.
My name is Steve Hughes, and I live at 413 Four Seasons Court in Cuba. And I want to revisit a comment that I made last time I was here. The issue with the charter is not something that began with the city of Mulberry. It goes back to the creation of Peachtree Corners and also the city there, Sharon Springs in Forsyth County. And this was done back in 2018 in that time period. And when they got ready to vote on SB 333. There was a meeting on February the 6th, 2024, in which the parties there at the state legislature, the General Assembly, were warned of the problems with the Mulberry Charter. The fact that you can't constitutionally say that you're not going to have a property ad valorem tax. And you can't limit the city to only 3 functions of the 14 some odd in Article 9 of the Georgia Constitution. A lot, I've heard a lot of comments on social media by those representing the city that places the blame for all the lawsuits, frivolous lawsuits, they say, on Gwinnett County and myself. And I would like to say that all of this, every bit of the legal expense and the time spent could have been avoided had the state legislature done what it should have done in drafting the Mulberry Constitution. It was rushed, and it was rushed through the state legislature in February of 2024, and then they had a vote, as we know, in May of 2024. And that's not the customary practice for the creation of the city. And so while you're not admitting that you believe the Mulberry, the Constitution, the Mulberry Charter is unconstitutional, you are acknowledging the fact that what I set forth in my lawsuit and what Gwinnett County set forth in their lawsuit, you're willing to concede that in order to bring the litigation to a close. I would like to state my opinion that the reason why you're doing that is not just to end the legal expense. By doing that, you avoid a ruling by the court on the legality or the claim that the Mulberry Charter is unconstitutional. If the court is allowed to decide that, and of course the court will make that decision. 605-116 would have to the charter.
Any questions for the city about ordinance 2026-05-162?
I'd also say that this was properly advertised. It was, and it's been available, posted both at Superior Court and in our clerk's office as required by law.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a public hearing for ordinance 2026-05-162. At this time, I'll open the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-05-162. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this ordinance? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those who would like to speak in favor. At this time, I'll open up for anyone who'd like to speak in opposition of ordinance 05-162. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition of this ordinance? Okay, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those that would like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-05-162. And unless there's questions from the council, that will conclude the first read of ordinance 2026-05-162. That'll bring us to ordinance 2026-05-163.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Mulberry to eliminate Article 1, Section 1.16, Section 1.16B, which limits the city's home rule authority and for other purposes. We would eliminate that section altogether. This is the section that required a referendum for the use of home rule under the charter.
Any questions from the council for the city attorney about ordinance 2026-05-163? All right, hearing none, there's a public hearing component of this one. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing for ordinance 2026-05-163 for those that would like to speak in favor of this ordinance. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those that were speaking in favor of ordinance 2026-05-163. This time I'll open the public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-05163. Would anyone like to speak in opposition? All right, come on, Mr. Hughes, if you could just, again, state your name and your, address. and-
Steve Hughes, 4th through 13th, for Seasons Court, Tequila, and I just like to say that I'm opposed to anything where you have you remove from the people the ability to vote on a referendum. I think a great disservice was done to many of the residents of Mulberry in SB 139, where they were forcibly annexed into the city. They did not have a vote. You did not notify them. Many of them did not even know that they were being annexed. And I think it's wrong when you have, you remove from the people that ability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. So there is 9 minutes and 15 seconds remaining for anyone who'd like to speak in opposition. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-05163? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those that want to speak in ordinance 2026-05163. And unless there's additional questions from council, I will go ahead and close the first read of ordinance 2026-05163. That brings us to item E, ordinance 2026-05164.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Mulberry to provide that the city shall not be prohibited from establishing a millage rate and for other purposes. The city of Mulberry, Article 4, Section 610 is amended so as to read: the city council may assess, levy, or collect any ad valorem taxes on any real or personal property within the corporate limits of the city. And that would be the essence of the ordinance change.
Any questions for the city attorney about ordinance 2026-05164?
I'd also say that on all of these charter changes, we properly advertised all of it, we properly posted it, we properly made them available for the viewing as required by law.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. At this time, there'll be a public hearing for those speaking in favor and opposed again. So at this time, I'll open the public hearing for those that would like to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-05164. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in, hold on one moment, is there an issue?
Assistant City Attorney believes that I said, and she's right. I misread it. It's Article 6 rather than Article 4. So the City of Mulberry Charter, Article 6, Section 610 is amended so as to read.
All right.
Roman numerals must be my dyslexic nature.
Thank you, Assistant City Attorney. All right, so at this time, we have a public hearing component for this. So at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for those that would like to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-05164. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this ordinance? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those that like to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-05164. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? I'll open the public hearing for those that would like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-05164.
Steve Hughes, 413 Seasons Court, Tequila, Georgia. One thing that I would like to point out, maybe to those who are going to be watching this later on, when the city was created without the ability to have property tax, there could have been a political reason and for doing that, and that is that if you stated that in the charter and the city had that, and then there was a possibility that, many of the people that voted for it would vote against it if they knew that they were going to end up being subject to a property ad valorem tax. And those that opposed the city kept bringing that argument before the people during the referendum vote. And we're here today to the point that 2 years ago, we were pointing at and said, it's not gonna stand. It's unconstitutional. They're gonna have to change it. And that's where we are today. You're changing it, you know, and, you say that you don't believe that it's unconstitutional. But if you believe that, then why are we here? Why are we changing it? I think it centers around that. I think SB 139 ties into that too, because that gave you revenue that you wouldn't have had, that you need in order to operate the city. And so, I just like for people to hear a different point of view. I hear a lot of criticism about comments on social media. I'm limited to 2 minutes when I have a public comment. Here right now, I have 10. Okay. And if I have a question about something, I can't raise that. If I email, you know, I get an answer. Well, Mr. Hughes, you have a lawsuit against the city. Never had a lawsuit against the city, but you know, Mr. Hughes got a lawsuit. We can't respond to you, or you just don't respond. You know, I'll send an email. I'll ask a question, and or you'll tell me, you know, I've been told not to talk to you, Mr. Hughes. Well, I didn't ask to be brought in the city. And when you brought me in, you brought me in, you know, and you may not agree with my opinion. You may think I'm an old man, a nut job, a tool of developers, you know, all of those things, you know, but I'm here as a citizen, and I believe we have a right to be heard and should be heard, and ought to be granted the right to participate in government. Though I didn't vote for the city, I ought to be able to get an answer when I ask a question. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. All right, there is 6 minutes, 45 seconds remaining, for anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-05-164. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition of that ordinance? All right, hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those in opposition of ordinance 2026-05-164. Unless there's no further questions from the council, I will go ahead and close the first read of ordinance 2026-05-164. That'll bring us to item F, ordinance 2026-05-165.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Ordinance 2026-05-165 is an ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Mulberry to provide that the city council may assess, levy, and collect ad valorem taxes on real personal property and for other purposes. That would be to amend the Mulberry Charter Article 6, Section 611 is amended so as to read, the city council shall not be prohibited from establishing a millage rate. That is the essence of the ordinance to amend the charter. Again, this charter section has been properly advertised and posted and available to the public.
Any questions for Mr. City Attorney about this ordinance? All right, hearing none, then at this point, we have a public hearing on this ordinance, ordinance 2026-05-166. So at this time, I will open the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-05-166. Is there anyone who'd like to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those who want to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-05-166. Is there anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition of?
It's 165.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Let me do that again. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So the ordinance number is 2026-05-165. I apologize. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So we have a public hearing component for ordinance 2026-05-165. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-05-165? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for ordinance, those speaking in favor of ordinance 2026-05-165. At this time, I'll open the public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-05-165. Would anyone like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for those speaking in opposition of ordinance 2026-05-165. And unless the council has any additional requests, that will conclude the first read of ordinance 2026-05-165. That will bring us to item G, ordinance 2026-05-166. All right, Mr. City Manager.
It's a beautiful day in Mulberry. So this ordinance is a revision to the franchisee agreement that you all approved with working with Jackson EMC. And I want to give a little bit of backstory of how we got here, what staff released in a statement, those kind of things. If you give me the privilege to make that quick comment. When I first got here, there was already a first read last year of a template ordinance that is sent to every city. All right. We had the second read of that. We reached out and worked with Jackson EMC actually reached out to us because they cover more of the city of Mulberry than they do any other municipality in their area, their EMC area. In that, we decided that before anything was signed, let's talk about what we can negotiate on and what we can talk about to improve it, not just for the citizens of Mulberry, but how we can work together and work better together in the future. In every good negotiation, there are some concessions that you have to give. And staff's goal at the time was that this would not be added to anyone's patio. In fairness to every other city inside the EMC area, right? That is what will be reflected. Because of the fact that that is a corporate policy for them, that is the same policy that they apply to every municipality. And in that, most of those, again, it's a template for residential. What Jackson EMC has been gracious to work with us on is this ordinance now is before you again for a first read to be modified to include commercial. So that it's not also homeowners, but business owners and everyone else who helps to better improve and make sure that the city of Mulberry stands on the principles that it was founded on at a zero millage rate. And that we can operate with franchisee fees as well as all of the other fees that we collect based on activity of consumption and insurance premiums.
Any questions for the city attorney about ordinance 2026-05-166?
I'd just like to maybe confirm my understanding of something. Is it a true statement that every municipality in Gwinnett County has a franchise agreement?
That is not a true statement, but everyone who has Jackson EMC.
So every municipality in Gwinnett.
So let me explain also how franchisee fees work when it comes to inside the right of way.
Okay.
Franchisee fees are only something that municipalities have the right of doing.
Correct, yeah.
In an unincorporated area, they do not collect franchisee fees for activity inside of the right of way because they have to purchase the easements from the county. So it's not like these fees wouldn't have existed. It's what we call them. All right. The county has the same ability, but it's only based on the activity at the time plus permit fees. All right. Municipalities supplement permit fees in lieu of a franchisee agreement and the payment of an easement if there's ever anything that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it over the lifespan of how long the utility is going to be there for almost infinitely ever, right? The cost kind of breaks out because if they have to go into a new area, they pay a sum inside the unincorporated area. Then they also have to pay permit fees and everything else in the unincorporated area. This is just a cost of the same amount, basically broken down to a calculation with the EMCs or any other franchise, any other private company who works with inside the right of way does this, right? Power and other things are slightly different. There are also different negotiations that can be made, which is why we wanted to make the effort to at least try to have it not be shown on the bill. Because just like our original effort, right? If you work with any other Southern company, Georgia Power, we've done one with AGL, we've done one with Comcast, we're working on one with Beaufort Gas. How that fee is paid and reflected is always different and always negotiated. the one thing that is consistent though is the methodology behind it, what's allowable by state law, and just the caps that are in place for certain utilities.
The reason I ask is, because I've spoken with Jack about this, and I think that there's a narrative out there that this franchise agreement. The fact is, of the 595 municipalities of the state of Georgia, 98% of them have a franchise agreement in place, right?
Yep.
With their, so we are not in fact, and I'm not sure I agree with you on the Gwinnett side. We can talk about that later, but I believe every municipality in Gwinnett has this agreement, not Lexington, obviously, because it goes over into other power utilities, but as it relates to power, the municipalities do have.
Now, I'll say that segment is correct, sir.
Okay.
So everybody has a franchisee agreement when it comes to power.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So, and I think that's a key point, because if we as Mulberry were the only people not to have a franchise agreement with our local power utility, we would be the only one that does not ascribe to that agreement in Gwinnett. And we would be in the 2% of the 98% of municipalities that are doing this elsewhere in the state. And the only reason I bring that up, that we knew that coming into Mulberry, in fact, we've heard it a lot, that we had some very real budgetary concerns. So the folks that were on the side of not, maybe wanting to have the city have talked about that. And so I think for us as a municipality, we need to, one of the things I think we all take very seriously is we want to be successful as a city. We want to make sure that we're good stewards of the city. And in order to do that, to do something, to consider this with fairness, we have to have the data. And I don't know that the data was properly represented. And I feel like it's important that the folks know that 98% of the municipalities have this agreement as it relates to power.
Absolutely. And I do want to say that this is also included in our feasibility study.
That's right.
This is not anything that's new, and anybody who says anything different is kind of just making noise for their own disgruntledness.
Sure.
The fact of the matter is, when the city was formed, when the feasibilities were put together, this was already accounted for. This was already added into their calculations for franchisee fees. We are almost in lockstep with what the KB study, feasibility study was for the city of Mulberry.
Yeah, understood. Thank you for kind of going through that with me, because I think it's a
Absolutely, it's important for people to know.
Yeah.
Right, that not all noise is good noise, but we're happy to get the message out there.
Yeah, thank you.
Accurate noise.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any other questions for the city manager about this? And just so I understand, there is no public hearing for this one on the first read. It'll be on the second read.
This doesn't require a public hearing.
It doesn't require a public hearing, and y'all are gracious enough to always let the public speak. And we always respond to staff.
All right, then that will conclude the first read of ordinance 2026-05166. That will bring us to action item O, which is second reads, which we have none, and then we have an executive session listed. Mr. City Attorney, do you request an executive session?
Not tonight.
So there's no executive session, that we're gonna move past item Q. We have no action items, part 2 from executive session. So that will bring us to the end of the evening. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out tonight. Obviously stay safe, driving home, and our next meeting is May the 21st.
Yes, sir.
So we will have, May the 21st, we'll have our next meeting with some of those additional readings. So at this time, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, we're hereby adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.